everyone.
Greetings.
Hello.
Hello from the netherworld.
Welcome to the podcast, as we're now going to be calling it because we realise we don't technically count as a vlog.
We don't, because this is literally what we do. We don't do anything else than this. You're not going to get any Jake or Logan Paul action from us.
The thing is, we actually don't exist outside of these YouTube videos. We're not even real.
We don't leave this room.
Yeah.
What's this? Someone told me about the sun once. What is the sun?
If you think you've seen me at Ren at Magic the Gathering Grand Prix, it was an illusion.
We're actually created by the same company who made Hatsune Miku. We're all
Vocaloids.
We're all Vocaloids.
That explains a lot about you.
We're all holograms, not just slightly better ones, not like that very shit Dio one that's been happening.
Welcome to the. I'll tell you about that after the vlog. I actually went to one of those shows.
Oh God.
Welcome to the Anime Amigos podcast now. I'm
Video podcast.
Video podcast.
Video podcast unless you just listen to the audio, in which case that's us beating up Ren.
Yes. Oh. Oof.
Now we really got
So I've been reading JoJo recently. It's bloody amazing.
One, stop hitting Ren, and two, stop auditioning to go on game nights.
No, I want to be like you know like a Street Fighter fainting noise, like and like faint into the distance.
Welcome to Anime Amigos. I'm Calvin Atkinson, the Pokemon punk.
I'm Simulate, the Gundam Guru.
I'm Ren, the JoJo genius.
I'm Elliot, the Vanguard Vagrant, and welcome to another shipping forecast. That's right, we're going back into the anime shipping, and today's subject is on incest. That's right, folks. Today we're going to prove that Tanjiro wants to bone Nezuko.
Oh no!
No, we are not, and I never want that image in my head.
I don't want that.
Get out.
In that case, next subject, Milsekai.
Milsekai, Milsekai, Milsekai.
We're doing let's do Akira versus Ghost in the Shell. For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Followed by Milsekai later.
No, I've got something else I'm working on for that.
Well,
For Milsekai?
Dilfsekai.
No, for the next segment that we're doing after this. But
It's actually pretty funny that we're doing Akira and Ghost in the Shell because last month, in case you didn't realize, we did Your Name and Ghost in the Shell, which people are.
No, not Ghost in the Shell. We did Your Name and.
Your Name and
Silent
a silent voice. Sorry.
Slip with the tongue.
Yeah, sorry. Because the reason. Because well, it's kind of funny because we still consider them, and there's a lot of other people consider them as the new anime classics. Meanwhile, this month we're reviewing the old anime classics.
I think before we do that, we should talk a bit more about the thing we started last month. So we've got to be serious for a second. In case you're not aware, if you haven't used this whole thing is basically these three shortening my lifespan every month. By just no. They know I don't.
We are pretty much Dio to his policeman number 3.
Yes.
Look, if you're listening to just the audio of this, I have just been assaulted again.
No, I believe the word you're looking for is caressed.
Yes, lovingly.
It's just
A loving embrace.
And it's not assault because you secretly want it.
Yeah.
I need to get a girlfriend to get away from you for.
Or boyfriend, we can't discriminate.
Yeah. That will not help you to get away from us, Carl. We will still be here.
In fact, we will be your boyfriends.
All of us.
What a horrible.
We'll do every day of the week. It'll be a freebie on Sunday.
What a horrible future to look forward to. But anyway, we need to be serious. We need to talk about Kyoto Animation because we did say we do an update this month.
Yeah.
Well, the updates. I mean, so far it's some decent silver linings so far. The hard drive's been recovered. Nothing's been lost.
Yeah. That's good news.
Violet Evergarden's OVA is due out in next month.
It's not been delayed at all.
No, which I'm very surprised by, but which means some of the people that worked on it might be dead.
Yeah.
Because only 10 names have been released so far.
Which is really upsetting. Really damn upsetting.
No news on the next two projects, although I think one of them is definitely going to be cancelled.
Though,
the two projects I know were on the table are the Violet Evergarden movie, which was due out in the winter season next year, and the second season of Maid Dragon, which might not happen now because the director has died.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
He was one of the
main Dragon's director was one of the casualties of it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
He was one of the first names released.
Yeah. And also,
It's a real shame because he's done some excellent work for them, and
Yeah.
he will be very sorely missed.
I'd also very much like to give a quick thank you to both anime fans and the anime industry for helping out Kyoto Animations. There have been so many people who have donated to the
Ourselves included in this.
yeah
one,
yeah. There have been so many people who have donated to the GoFundMe, including a bunch of other anime studios. So we just like to give a really big thank you to everybody who is keeping this company alive, because I don't think really the anime industry would be what it is today without Kyoto Animations. I think they're one of the major.
Yeah, and
people.
it's I mean, it's actually one of the interesting things. I watched Jeff Hughes' thing on the Netflix documentary into the anime, and they don't mention the fact that most studios, unlike Kyoto Animation, really overwork their staff, and you can get hints of that in the documentary. And I'm shamelessly plugging Jeff Hughes because he did get a copy of my book.
Yeah, and
yesterday, and I got a message off him yesterday.
I remember.
Thanks for it.
I remember just before the vlog watching a Gigax tribute to Kyoto Animation, and I actually teared up a little bit.
I don't like calling them tributes. I don't like the idea of doing a tribute yet because we don't know if Kyoto Animation is gone.
I don't think this is the end for them. I think they're still going to be.
They're
gone.
requesting privacy right now, so I think until we hear, I think this will be the last time we'll talk about it until we hear anything more concrete.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing we know concrete right now. That it's going well it's going as well as it could be, and at least some people's hard work has been kept alive.
Yeah.
Which I think is the best silver lining we can take right now out of everything. But it's kind of interesting because we've been doing this now since, me and Reese started it in March of 2017.
Yeah.
We joined in April.
In April.
2017.
And we've rarely talked old school anime since we've done this.
Yeah, it's mainly just been seasonal stuff.
Seasonal stuff and very recent stuff.
Anything that's updated.
I think the only times we've really talked about anything old was when he did his Gundam video.
Ah, yes.
I'm saying him because, come on,
It
it was
all
primarily you.
Although,
Yeah, I
and,
managed to cover all of Gundam 40 years in 40 minutes.
Although here's the thing.
I'm very proud of that.
Here's the thing, Reese. I think we could potentially do it better. So we might be remaking that vlog in the future. When's your birthday anyway?
25th of March.
So
Can I put in a thing before we do another another one of those videos? Can we do a JoJo's history? Can we have a dedicated JoJo's?
Well, no, I'm
history?
actually gonna.
I feel like we should get a dedicated video to whatever we want whenever it's our birthdays.
The thing is, I'm actually.
Spin one.
The thing is, I'm actually going to work. I've got a new format that I'm working on, which I'm going to work around. Which we're going to work around that idea, which I'm going to explain might be the base of our October one. But speaking of which, though, we're doing Akira and Ghost in the Shell. These are two films that really changed the landscape as we look. Like, I was watching Ben Sage's Anime Abandoned episode on Steam Point. He was saying the reason Akira was struck such a chord was because it came out at a time when anime really wasn't a thing. The only thing we knew animation from Japan for was kind of speed racer
and
reruns,
Astro Boy,
and that sort of thing. And it was kind of, and yet suddenly you had this massive project that came from a little corner of the world, and then Ghost in the Shell kind of fall. Like you talked back then, they're kind of like the Blade Runners.
I actually remember, if I remember, wasn't Akira kind of inspired by Blade Runner somewhat?
Both Akira and Ghost in the Shell's directors say they were inspired by Blade Runner. Although it's less obvious in Akira because Akira is more about human experimentation rather than replicating humans.
It's actually quite surprising, like how much of an inspiration Blade Runner was to the sci-fi industry as a whole.
Yeah, but Blade Runner is more about this idea of
robotics. Yeah,
robotics.
I know what you mean.
Sentience in AI.
Sentience in AI. That's the idea of how far or how close does someone have to go to be human, which is a very similar theme as in Ghost in the Shell. Whereas Akira's more about experimenting on real humans and a lost generation, which again has very historical context to what was going on in Japan at the time.
I find it also kind of funny that the first video that me and Ren showed up in was reviewing the Ghost in the Shell live action movie.
Yes, it's kind of.
Which, by the way, has our opinions on that changed at all since that video?
Mine have.
How's your opinion changed on it?
Softened greatly.
I'd say my opinion's softened on it a bit.
Mine's just because Battle Angel Alita sucked for me. So.
But whereas I think Battle Angel Alita is a better film than Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I do.
Same. I think the live action still does not hold a candle to the original
And
Ghost in the Shell.
and the biggest problem they do have with that film is they put in so much from all the various aspects of Ghost in the Shell franchise without realising what made that moment so great when they did it originally. Like you can put in a reference to this and you can call the villain this, but it doesn't change the fact it doesn't really resemble that character. And you've just used it for name recognition.
They're like sucking the original film's dick, but really poorly. Really badly.
Yeah,
That's
too much teeth.
Yeah, too much teeth involved.
I would have done I would have done a less lewd.
But it's the most accurate one,
It
let's be
is.
honest.
Come on. We talk about fucking each other all the time on this show. I don't think that...
And off the show.
Yeah,
And on Twitter.
And
Oh God! Just getting into a Twitter conversation with these guys can be the death of you.
what can I say except
You're
you
welcome.
you got a friend in me.
Or
Well.
you can be a friend in him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And on him.
Be gone.
I'll take all of the above, please.
Strangulation's your thing, Cub, it's not mine.
For the love of God,
No, no, it's feet.
Don't you start.
No. What I realise is strangling the feet.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Okay,
he's
guys,
one of the few
before-
people who's into foot choking. Just someone step on his back, just choke me, feet.
Summer.
Someone's going to do that on the internet. Never let
Oh, senpai.
never let
Feet-chan.
never let our friend Pup watch this one
Oh
I'll
no.
probably watch it.
Oh no. We're probably gonna send her the fucking link.
because
I'm gonna send them the link,
they will inevitably do some artwork for this, and I am going to really hate every time. I get sent some DM saying I've done an art thing. Oh great! Oh fuck!
People, send foot hentai to Calvin's Twitter.
Can
Please.
Can we go over our personal history with Akira and Ghost in the Shell? Like, Reese, when did you first watch these?
Oh, I first saw clips back when I was in primary school on the computers.
Yeah, no, there was everywhere kind of around that time because you were only a few years off each other. I was kind of around secondary school. I remember seeing a lot about it, but I never got around to watching it.
Yeah.
I watched it a bit later in life. I mean, I think I didn't really like Akira when I first saw it, to be honest with you.
Really?
But that's because I watched I watched the inferior cut of Akira. I watched the original one that was done by not Streamline. Streamline's a new dub. It's begins with a P.
Pioneer.
Pioneer. That's it. I watched the Pioneer dub, and the Pioneer dub is awful.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, and I'm so sick of people defending it now. I'm definitely one of those angry people that really does not like the Pioneer dub. But when I saw Ghost in the I've actually, the interesting thing is I went back and watched Akira with the Streamline dub after I read the manga. I read the manga through several train journeys to and from Liverpool, and it's amazing how much it captivated me. And I want to go back and I felt when you watch it with the Streamline dub, that film is greatly improved.
Yeah.
That's kind of my personal history with it. What about you? What about you, Elliot? What was your history with Akira and Ghost in the Shell?
Ghost in the Shell, I actually first watched it, I think when I was like 12, maybe 13, before I got into anime. I think it was like the first anime film I had ever really seen, unless you count Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, which of course I do. And when I first watched it, I liked it. I was a bit confused by it, but I still did somewhat enjoy it. Akira, I only watched it for the first time fairly recently, honestly.
I will say my perspective is going to be from someone who's read all of the manga of Akira, and someone who's read some of the manga of Ghost in the Shell. But I am aware I am aware from that experience that both of these films are very loose adaptations of their manga.
Yeah.
So I watched Ghost in the Shell for the first time probably 2 days before we did the vlog.
Wait, you only watched it like very recently?
Well, I only saw Ghost in the Shell 2 years ago.
2 days before we did our...
Sorry, in
Oh,
2017.
okay. I was getting a bit
Yeah.
confused.
I wasn't blagging. And then obviously I saw the live action movie, which saddened me. And Akira I watched last night. However, same with Reese. I've seen many clips, and I've known the overarching story. I've been on the wiki.
You know,
I've looked up stuff.
it's always the meme of the Tetsuo.
Canada.
Yeah, it's pretty much the old Naruto Sasuke.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Hotel?
Trivago. Fuck.
Yes.
God damn it.
It works every time.
But yeah.
It's a bit like saying that's Asda price.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When they need...
Every time.
Tesco.
Every little helps. Fuck!
Yeah. So that's my experience with that.
I think before... that being said, I think my opinion on some of these might be a bit controversial. But let's get down to it. We're doing the same category with Silent Voice versus Your Name. So, soundtracks. And again, we're going in the same order. So, Elliot's going first. In terms of the... Someone's phone's going
It's
off.
probably mine.
Not mine.
1 second. Yeah, it's mine. Because these bloody headphones, whenever this is hit, it just plays music and it gets hit very easily.
Let's see how professional we are. No, mine does
Every time!
Every time mine does it. Every time I put it in my pocket, it does it every time. But so Elliot's going to be the casting vote first time. Ren's going to be the casting vote next, and Reese is going to be casting vote next. You're going to probably see us drinking a lot because for some reason we seem to pick to do these on a sweltering day when we can't have any of the windows open because noise comes in.
And I don't have a hairband, so I'm literally going to be like wiping sweat.
And we have and I'm drinking tea as well because I'm British.
Yeah,
so prepare for me to be a sweaty boy.
Fuck with our internal thermometers even more.
Let's do soundtrack. So this the score, the songs, all that business. So I'm just going to come out and say it with this one. Immediately my vote's going to Ghost in the Shell. Because Akira's got, no matter which cut you get of that film, Akira's got a very unremarkable soundtrack.
No, I wouldn't say
I
unremarkable.
think some of the songs are good, others aren't too quite as great.
Well, I'll say Ghost in the Shell is a more iconic song.
Yeah.
Especially the chorus.
Which is that, it is...
Wow, Elliot, were you in the original cut? That was beautiful.
Which,
Yes, in 1995.
Which,
I was merely a fetus for now. I say that, but I was born in
How long were
97.
you
So.
gestating for in your mother's
let's
womb?
move on, please.
It's actually somewhat funny because Ghost in the Shell, while it has more of an iconic soundtrack, most of the film is very quiet.
Yeah.
Like you don't really get much of the soundtrack. There are a lot of very quiet moments.
But when the music does play, it's always excellent. It always fits with the scene very well. That soundtrack is really iconic.
you always know it means so you always notice these songs more when they actually come up. Meanwhile with Akira, the songs mostly just sound like background noise.
And in some of the cuts, they've been just awful. Like that one that sounds like a fat guy on a treadmill.
Yeah, well that's because I watched it yesterday and I heard like and I was like, is that a character on screen making that noise?
No, I just think, is someone having a fucking asthma attack? and I just thought, yes, perfect song.
Unless we all watched cuts that were actually filmed at the cinema and there was just a really fat dude sat next to you. maybe that's what happened.
No, but it is. But there's a bunch of weird.
Too many quavers.
There's a bunch of weird songs like that.
I need more Jesus. Give me more Jesus.
But I quite like that though. I think it's unusual and it makes it feel weird because the whole thing is about blurring the lines between human evolution, what happens with the telekinetic powers. And
God, I'm going to have some talk about that later.
Okay.
But I believe in this state. I hate the whole. I hate films that do this idea of human evolution is predetermined and we're just moving along a certain path. Yeah. It was just as dumb when Star Trek did it. It's just as dumb now.
I'm not saying that's the message of Akira. I just mean.
But they kind of do the whole idea, and there's that stupid thing.
Wait, we get to that in a minute. We'll do soundtrack now.
Yeah, the soundtrack. The soundtrack. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the great songs that sound out of Akira. There's a couple of good ones, like
the song they played during the bike chase at the beginning. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
The bike chase, pretty good. By the way, I'm assuming everyone's seen these films because we are spoiling the hell out of
because they've been out for like over 20 years.
Yeah, if you haven't seen them, it's your own fault.
Yeah, because Akira came out in 1988.
Yeah, and 95 was Ghost in the Shell.
95 was Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
So shit, Akira's 30 years old.
Yep. 31.
31, over 30 years old.
And
wow.
it predicted the
Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah, it predicted the Tokyo Olympics.
And also it took place in 2009. It took place this year. So the whole thing with Neo Tokyo, that's happening right now.
Yeah, dude.
It's amazing to think that they had Blade Runner.
Please don't kill me, Tetsuo.
It does feel a bit interesting how Blade Runner and Akira take place at the same time.
Yeah.
It's probably intentional.
Because they thought, no one will ever remember these films when we get to 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, they both actually kind kind of are sort of realistic portrayals of the future. Like there's no flying cars or stuff. It's more just somewhat a little bit more high tech.
We are a bit more apathetic on our attitudes. I mean, Back to the Future Part 2 got it right that we would be watching tons of remakes of films in 3D.
Fucking old Disney. Jesus.
My favourite thing in the Back to the Future 2...
No. We are doing nothing about Spider-Man in this episode. I am done with that crap. I'm depressed enough this week. Leave me alone.
Yeah, just to go off topic a bit, one of my favourite bits in Back to the Future 2 was when they showed another Jaws movie. The shark came down, trying Marty, and Marty just went, shark still looks fake.
Yeah.
But
just Steven Spielberg jabbing at us on films.
Yeah.
This is why you're a legend, dude.
Well, yeah, but you want to know something funny about Spider-Man?
Oh, God.
Trilogy.
Hey!
I saw something really funny, and it's the Spider-Man dancing scene from Spider-Man 3.
Oh, who gets to free movie?
Who gets to free
Tobey
movie?
Maguire is the only one to get to 3 films.
Was he the one who did? Those were like honestly, those were the worst Spider-Man films.
Whole bloody day.
Oh wait, no, I forgot about Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Never mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's move on.
3 was meh.
No. We're done. We're done with Spider-Man until Sony and Marvel. We're not talking about until Sony and Disney realise their error and put him back in.
Okay.
Well, we can relate to the Japanese because there was a Japanese Spider-Man series. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Wait,
Spider-Man.
make Spider-Man, that in the MCU. Put the Japanese Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah. Reese, what's your vote for a soundtrack? I want to get
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, easy. It's not even a contest, really.
Yeah. Let's move on to
It's such an iconic opening sequence as well.
It's not just a sequence, it's all the various moments. Every bit sets the atmosphere perfectly. There's not a bad one in the bunch. It's one of the iconic anime soundtracks for a reason.
Very much.
So let's talk animation. So Ren gets the casting vote this time.
When comparing the animation for these two,
how many years separate them? It's like seven years.
But even so, they're both so good.
When you
years on, Akira still looks really good.
Yeah, here's sort of my thoughts. I think Akira has better just general animation, but I think Ghost in the Shell has the better animation when it comes to the fight scenes and a lot of stuff like that.
But one of the things I like about Akira is it did a lot of things that you don't do at the time. Like one of the rules is you animate at night as little as possible because night doesn't have a lot of bright colours you can work with, and animation isn't quite up to the standard at that time.
And when they did animate at night, they did still put in quite a few bright colours.
What I like about Akira, they say no, we're not going to do that. This is what we were aiming for. This is what Otomo's directing this. This is what he did in his manga. This is what he's doing now. He wants this film to be just his manga brought to the screen. He does a brilliant job with that.
Yeah.
But Ghost in the Shell is so much amazing. And I'm saying that as someone who thinks that I hate the 2.0 cut.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole when they added loads of CG animation.
Yeah, I very much prefer the original look.
The whole point of what I like about both of these is they're kind of futures which they're very cold, very dark. They're very. I would say that they're kind of like almost. I'd say Ghost in the Shell. No matter which version you get, it almost feels like a lifeless world.
Yeah.
Like almost all the life has been sucked out of it, and we are these and everyone's just this hollow husk.
Well, I think that's meant to be reflected in the fact that everyone's becoming more and more cybernetic.
Yeah, like we're sort of becoming like a privilege to sort of be considered human.
They're kind of opposite in that way because Neo Tokyo in Akira feels like it's teeming with life. It's almost like it's like an organism.
But it's also
it's failing now.
Yeah,
it's a life. It's basically it's alive, but it's addicted to drugs in a sense.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because while the world of Akira seems more lively and more full of life, it's a more dangerous world.
It's the world that feels like it's going to explode any minute, whereas
Ghost in the Shell just feels like it's a slow crumble.
And it's going to be individuals that will do it, rather than the system in place that has failed this new generation. And that was very reflective of what was going on in Japan at the time. Japan had this very...
So how does this come across in the animation?
What I'm saying...
I think it's more in the background and the whole look of the things.
The background and the look, and they had to nail... This is the things they had to nail with the animation.
They did a really good job of that as well, just like portraying how everything looks just through... things like facial expressions and the whole look of the environment.
They had to do a lot of very high-speed animation, and they had to make it look very fluid at a time when anime wasn't that good at doing that. So I mean, if you look at say Gundam Wing, I believe that came out the same year as Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, 95.
No, in fact, Gundam Wing comes out in Japan around the same time. To compare the animation of those two, Gundam Wing, as much as there's parts of Gundam Wing I really like, and some action scenes I really like, the action scenes don't even compare, and you can tell Gundam Wing's being done with the limitations they have, whereas Ghost in the Shell is almost exceeding them. And as Otoma, and again, Akira was a very costly production at the time. It was because again, it was at a time when Japan's economy was booming, so they just said, "What do you want? You want this money." That's one of the reasons why they trusted it. Well, again, if you go watch Bennett Sage's video on this on Steam Boy, because he does a brilliant thing about this. The idea was this economy was really good at Japan at the time, so they said just we can do that, but because if the economy's going to break, and then it did.
Because Akira is had the highest budget of any anime production at that time.
And and then Steam Boy overtook it, and most recently, The Tale of Princess Kaguya is still the highest production for an anime film. It cost $50 million.
Wow.
Dollars.
To be fair, that's not.
Wait, really?
And took 8 years in production.
Wow.
Oh shit! Wow.
But that's because it was Takahata's the late Iso Takahata's passion project. And again, this feels like Otomo's. Do you know what it is? It feels like it's Otomo's passion project, which is limited by the studio and himself. Yeah. We're getting more into detail about why I'm saying that in a bit, but when it comes to the animation, I mean, where's the animation flubs? Which one of these flubs quite a bit in this anime?
Well, Akira is really good, especially with like the gore and stuff later on.
It's kind of weird. I feel like at times Akira feels more fluid with this animation, and it feels more. What's the word? Like consistent.
Yeah, consistent
with it. Yeah, it's more consistent with this animation. Meanwhile, Ghost in the Shell, a lot of times it can feel like a bit stiff. But at the same time, there are a lot of times where the animation looks fucking gorgeous.
There are more moments in Akira, I feel, that show off just how crazy the animation can get.
Yeah. But again, you have to show it off with Akira, considering what the high concept of that show, whereas, or that manga that it was based on. Whereas Ghost in the Shell is not designed to be that high concept, so you don't need to. So as a result, I'd say out of the two of them, in terms of lighting, I think Ghost in the Shell looks darker than Akira.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
And also, Ghost in the Shell is more highly detailed.
It's but it's also kind of muted in its colours, and which normally would be a really bad thing, but for Ghost in the Shell, it really works. Yeah. What about? I think we're going around in circles with this one.
Show the character design a bit.
Character design. With the character design, you got Akira, which again is going for this design of the generational gap between the two, which again was very reflective of what was going on in Japan. They had a very big generational gap in terms of attitude between parents and their children at the time, and there was a high rise in youth crime. So that's where Otomo was getting his ideas from. It's this idea of this is the future if this generational gap keeps forming. But it doesn't. But what I like is the fact, going to later on, he doesn't kind of say, he doesn't go for what Takahata did with going for parental compliance. He goes to more, but that's because we need to hand over to the next generation. This is something we still suffer with now, that not enough people think, we've had our time, it's now the next generation.
That is so clear when you see like the council that leaves the city.
Yeah.
But again, it goes into more detail in the manga in that base. But again, they really try making the Colonel a bit taller. Everyone kind of looks very cocky. Tetsuo's design is so good. You can slowly tell, but the way they animate him as well is brilliant. You could tell just how much he's falling down this hole from a, and it does, and I'd say a few of the designs some of the designs look a bit weird. Like I don't really like the look of the scientist. I've always thought
he looks somewhat generic. I say.
He looks like the grandpa in Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, he does kind of look like that, actually.
You know what, actually? I think both him and the old guy from Ghost in the Shell actually looks a bit alike in a way.
Yeah, no, I feel...
One's got a bit more bold.
It's generic scientist look, but then, like, 88, you know...
it's just 88, I think you could get away with it.
Ghost in the Shell's biggest flub in the character design, I think... I don't think they have too many flubs. I feel like they didn't quite know how to design the Major. And she got better as it went on. Like if you look in if you look at, I think she's got a better character design in things like the new movies, the Arise series, and whatchamacallit. Oh yeah, the
film.
not the
This way 17.
Standalone Complex.
Yeah.
With Standalone Complex, I think Standalone Complex is the best they've designed that character. Whereas I feel like they didn't, the guys that were animating that series didn't, the film didn't know really how to do it. They didn't quite nail her design. That being said, she still looks. They still make her look like the manga counterpart.
She still looks pretty. She still does look pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they make a very deliberate decision for the themes of the show to make her very generically attractive. But they give her. But they also they kind of do what they do. What Matt Groening said was his design with Leela, which is they give her all what they need to, and then they hold something back, so it doesn't mean that her entire character is sex appeal.
Yeah.
Which in Motoko's case, it's the fact that she's often very dour and has a very dour expression, and she's very much a take no nonsense character. She's almost, but then there's a lot to read into that in terms of why she picks this sort of form for her. Yeah. But I think we're going around in circles.
Yeah.
Where's your vote going to?
My vote's going to Akira because, as I say, it has a more consistent animation, and also, because the show does have some pretty awesome fight scenes. But Akira has the bit with Tetsuo transforming, and good God, that was fucking amazingly animated.
Horrifying.
Yeah, I will go with Akira because it's just amazing that it's all hand animation as well.
Yeah, that's what stunned me about it when I was watching it.
Compared to Ghost in the Shell, even its original release did use computer animation for some of it.
Which they were still learning what they were doing at that time. But I love the animation in both of these, but Akira's my pick. And it's not just for the Tetsuo scene in the middle of in the end of the film, it's the middle of the manga.
Yeah.
But well, when it comes to, but it's just the fact that there's loads of little subtle things in that show which are really excellent. The fact they were able to do this with 80s animation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They were out doing a lot of what was coming out at the time.
Monumental.
Yeah, like even
Your
nowadays.
vote would have been Akira.
I absolutely.
Yeah, like even nowadays it looks great. Back then, I can imagine it looked phenomenal.
Yeah. And that's not taking away at all from Ghost in the
No,
Shell.
because of the show animation, it's still bloody amazing. Like the fight with the tank.
Yeah, the tank.
And like seeing her arms slowly rip off.
Yeah,
Good
incredible.
God, that was
And the
great.
invisible fight on the water.
Yeah, needless to say, there are reasons why they're both very iconic scenes when it comes to anime.
Okay, we're moving on to.
Just what we do. There's do you want to know one way Tetsuo could have won?
How could he have won?
If you listen to Edna Mode. No capes.
Yes.
Yeah, because Tetsuo only loses when he gets the cape.
Exactly. He's weak.
No capes.
No capes.
Capes are
I love the
trash.
fact Brad Bird does that voice so brilliantly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the side cast. So you asked me an interesting thing when you DM'd me yesterday.
Jumped in your DMs. Sorry.
We messaged you on Twitter yesterday talking about how we're going to do this.
Aside from the messages of constantly complimenting each other and planning fuck sessions for all four of us.
Rough fuck sessions.
Of course.
Bring the leather.
This is why I need to get off Tinder, because even if I get anyone, I'm never going to be able to show them any of this.
Bring the lube.
Well, you mean Grindr, don't you?
Yes, sorry.
Just kill it.
Yes, Daddy.
Harder.
Let's move on to the sidecast. Well, we were talking and we were saying...
Not in the foot.
You asked me yesterday, do we need a separate category for the villains? And I thought, the reason I'm saying no is because neither of these films have a very consistent villain, and the villain doesn't play as big a role in the story as you'd think, in a sense. Like, Akira is very debatable who the villain is in that one, especially because...
I'd say it's pretty clear.
I say it's Tetsuo.
But there's also, it's kind of like this idea of, is it Tetsuo, or is it the people that made Tetsuo that way? Yeah. Or is it the society in general? I mean, the thing is we don't get the cult of Akira like we did in the manga, which...
You do.
We do, because we see them on the bridge.
No, but the point is with Cult of Akira, they're more developed in the manga. We don't really get that much of them in that.
Yeah, we get like two scenes with one of the guys going berserk.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with Akira, and this is just related to this, is the waste of Lady Miyako, who is incorrectly voiced by a man in both dubs.
What? Well, I watched it in sub. So I missed that.
But Lady Miyako is one of the best parts of the manga. She's a very pivotal character. She played a very big role, especially in Kei's character arc. And I'm very surprised that when Otomo was deciding what he was going to cut, because of the time constraints and the fact his manga it wasn't done at the time the film was coming out. I mean, it wasn't going to be done until 2 years after the film was eventually released. Yeah. But when it comes to that, I've got a real problem. I've got a real problem with the fact that Miyako was one of the things he chose to cut.
Miyoko, sorry.
Yeah.
SOB.
Yeah,
Okay, fine. We're going.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say wasted. Like, obviously, she probably had like a less pivotal role, but she was quite significant.
Meanwhile, you got the villain in Ghost in the Shell is, well, to a certain extent, it's the Puppet Master.
Yeah.
I would say the Puppet Master is one. It's a weird thing is Puppet Master is very iconic as a villain, but yeah, he's actually kind of one of the least developed villains in the franchise as a whole. By the way, Reese gets the casting vote in this one.
I mean, well, in another sense, isn't kind of Sector 6 kind of a villain as well?
Section 6 is kind of the villains in this one. What is with Ghost in the Shell? There's always another section after them. Yeah. Seriously, they're at the end of both seasons of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. There's always someone after them, and then the real and then the villain that we'd watched the rest of it is kind of just a side part of it. Although that being said, I mean, if you compare it, like my favourite villain in the Ghost in the Shell franchise as a whole is the Laughing Man from Standalone Complex Season 1, because they really developed what he was about, what his motivation was. I don't still to this day don't quite. I get most of what the Puppet Master was after.
Yeah.
But he was wanting to merge with the Major because they were very much alike, weren't they?
Well,
like
it was more because he wanted to be a real entity, being able to reproduce and change.
But that doesn't then. Well, then how does that tie into the whole hacking people's brains and giving them lives that they didn't know they had?
Well,
that they didn't really have.
Yeah, with the Puppet Master, it was all somewhat confusing in a bit of a way.
But again, it's not meant to be the Puppet Master story. It's meant to be Motoko Kusanagi's story, and her trying to, through the pursuit of the Puppet Master, trying to find her own self-sense of identity.
Maybe the point is that the Puppet Master, because it was an incomplete thing to begin with, was an incomplete villain and didn't actually, have to make that much sense. Because at the end of the day, he's just an enemy, and if it is, as you say, the Major story.
Do you like the Puppet Master as a villain?
I like him.
I think he's an interesting villain. I just feel like we should have gotten a bit more development with him.
Well, is he truly a villain?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think he's not really doing things for the furtherance of
an agenda.
Evil plots.
Well, he's not a good guy though. At the same time, because again, he does hack people's brains.
Yeah, he did hack people's brains, and I think he did change manipulate people.
He made that guy believe he had an entire family that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the interesting things about Ghost in the Shell. It's this idea of you can't say I have a sense of consciousness, therefore I exist, because again, your consciousness can be manipulated. And anything you know about yourself could be entirely wrong.
But getting off of the villain characters, I think Ghost in the Shell has a pretty good side cast though. I mean,
they're not incredibly used. I mean, the only one I really remember much of is Bato. Most of the other guys.
The police officer was pretty good.
The police officer was good.
But most of the others, they have more to do in Standalone Complex. I know more about those characters because of Standalone Complex than the film. Again, it feels like they just wanted to tell the story of the Major and Bato. They didn't really want to tell the story of anyone else in that one, and the others feel like they're a bit sidelined. I mean, one of the interesting things is a lot of people were going on about Scarlett Johansson's casting at the time, but the fact of the matter is the story takes place in Hong Kong. It doesn't take place in Japan, and Hong Kong is a bit of a melting pot of various people from around the world because it's a bit of a business capital.
Yeah. In addition, I suppose,
although what they did with that casting was yikes.
Yes,
especially at the end of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not the fact they cast Scarlett Johansson; it's the way they cast her.
They could the thing is they could absolutely justify having Scarlett Johansson as the Major because literally they're a robot. It's fine. Yeah. But then what they did.
Then to do that was just like wow.
That was the real problem.
That lost my goodwill on that.
If anyone's not seen the live action film, it's not a good representation of Ghost in the Shell.
No, don't watch it if you're. I wouldn't recommend watching it.
Do you know what's ironic? I remember Bennett. Actually, interesting thing. I watched Bennett Sage's vlog on this because he's a very big Ghost in the Shell fan. And he said he wished it was worse, because then he would have had something to rage about. I know at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not even. It's not like. It's not like something like Dragon Ball Evolution or Death Note, where it's fundamentally flawed from the start.
Yeah.
Although even then, I wouldn't say Death Note was fundamentally flawed from the start. It was more. It got fundamentally flawed in the middle
I feel
portion.
I feel like it's in a show movie. It's a bit like what the Dom said about the Percy Jackson adaptations, which is that as a film, it's serviceable. It's It's not a terrible film.
They went. Sorry, we're going to say Reese.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, sorry. I think they went for like the least offensive, safest route on producing a Hollywood blockbuster.
That's what it is. It's like let's just take the safe way out. They didn't try to push the boundary.
Yeah. Rather than it being like Alita, which was really trying to be like a homage to the manga and the original source material, it was Ghost in the Shell was more just trying to be a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
the thing, we haven't really talked about Akira's side cast all that much.
It's kind of weird, really, because
again, the titular Akira doesn't actually appear in the anime.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's mentioned quite a few times, and like how how Tetsuo's sort of like an Akira 2.0.
he does appear in the anime.
Well, yeah, but only in that brief flash. He doesn't actually.
He's in like a flashback,
spirit.
and he appears like in a sort of incorporeal form.
Yeah, he's like a white spirit.
But he does have a. But again, it's not. It's much more cut compared to how he was in the manga.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Which again, he's kind of the main villain of the manga in a sense.
I'd say the three characters that get development and the most time devoted to them in Akira are the Colonel, Tetsuo, and Kaneda.
Which is
K as well. K.
Not
Less so.
Not in a bit.
Well, a little bit, but not.
When compared to all the other side casts, I say she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kay does get a bit more development. I think she actually kind of gets some more development than Kaneda in times.
Yeah, Kaneda kind of remains the same.
Yeah.
but,
We'll move on to Canada.
Sorry.
Later, but when we talk about Tetsuo is great as a character.
Yes, Tetsuo is fantastic.
Yeah, Tetsuo. I'm actually surprised. I actually still consider Tetsuo more the main character than Canada. Really.
But at the end of the day, it's still kind of the story, and there's lots of times when Tetsuo is not a factor in the film, and whereas Kaneda is always a factor in that film.
Yeah, I get.
With Kay, she was way more developed in the manga, and they did a lot more with her character, and they tried to put in a lot of what her later parts of her character were going to be in the manga, as opposed to what she was like at that point. At that point in the storyline in the manga is that point in the film is she's a bit more like, you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like that. They rushed her character arc because again they've only got one film. They haven't got two movies to tell the story. Again, I think Akira should have been 2 films.
I feel like
to fully be a full adaptation.
Good
of the
question,
manga.
actually. If they adapted Akira into like an anime series, would you be against that?
No, God no.
Hell no.
In fact, it's already been announced that it's going to be a series.
Oh,
What?
Wait, really?
But they've not said whether it's a sequel or a reboot yet.
I hope it's a reboot. I really like to get the full story.
But Sunrise has confirmed we will be getting some more Akira.
Oh, that'd be pretty awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Also, someone that no one's mentioned yet. Tetsuo is voiced by Tai from Digimon.
Yeah, and
What, really? That's cool.
Yeah, the streamlined dub has Johnny Young Bosch in the role of Kaneda.
I'm sorry. Ren just came along, and now the entirety of under the table is white.
I wouldn't put your hand on it though. It's like a glue stick.
Oh no, Ripley.
Yeah, do you want to know why? It's because my mother.
Oh, you idiot! I told you not to do
My
that.
Blu-ray.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Well,
I really hope the audio.
Edit that out.
My dignity.
Oh no, that is going in now.
Yeah, it is staying in. We show all the fuck ups.
But hopefully that didn't break the audio.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, it still looks like it's fine.
Yeah,
It's on. All good.
Yeah, just double check behind the camera and see if it's all right while we're doing this.
I apologize now if I fucked up anything.
Yeah, but Joshua Seth, he does not change his voice from time.
No. Joshua Joseph never changed his voice.
It's the same voice.
It's so weird when he was in Trigun. It's
Yes.
like it's Ty from Digimon. Anytime I just hear it, it's Ty from Digimon.
Quick question: was I the only one who watched Akira in sub?
No,
I
Ren
watched it
did.
subs,
Okay, cool.
Although that was more to do with the fact that you couldn't get the dub to work.
And
Yeah,
also for me, it was because, again, the voice syncing wasn't working very well.
Yeah.
There was no voice syncing, it was really bothering
Well,
me.
the fact that you're surprised by the fact that I think you got the Pioneer dub, which has terrible voice syncing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have 2 DVDs there. I have no idea which one's a Pioneer dub, which one's the other one. So I just watched one
My favourite line in the whole one is the fact where he goes, so you had no choice but to defend yourself? And it's like, Jesus, mate, can you stretch it anymore?
But they had to do it in line with the mouth. movements,
But when it
obviously.
comes to the cast of Akira, do you know what it is? It feels like both of these casts feels like wasted potential.
Yeah, because I feel like neither of them are really developed too well. Like I remember a bit when they said I think Yamatachi was his name.
Yeah.
When they said he died, people they were expecting people to go, oh my god, he's dead, he died. Honestly, my reaction was just who?
Yeah, no. Again, in the manga, it's,
Ryu. Oh no, Yamagata. Sorry, yeah. I know.
in the manga, it was a much bigger deal that he died. The anime doesn't have time to develop his character, so I know my vote's going though in this one.
Yeah, but it's funny though, because it's just like, Tetsuo, are you evil? Yes, he gets booted off the hill.
Yeah.
But there's one character that tipped it over the edge for me. So what's your vote, Elliot?
I'm going to. It only just wins for me, but I'm going to go with Akira simply because of Tetsuo.
Akira
For Tetsuo.
Akira for Tetsuo.
Akira for Tetsuo.
Yeah.
But again, it's also more. At least with Akira, there's some thing to develop that cast. There's something to develop that. There's some sort of attempt made to this. I guess Ghost in the Shell just feels like they're there to make up the numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because
Bato does get a bit of development, and I think they do get a bit of. All the characters in Ghost of the Shell do get a bit more development than the ones
So
in
it's
Akira
it's
do.
it's 2-1 at the minute to get Akira, which is not how I was expecting today to go. I thought Ghost in the Shell was going to run with this.
Yeah, also, Akira had the more famous dub cast compared to Ghost in the Shell.
No, but some of them have gone on to do some pretty big things. Like
well-
Richard Epcar plays Bato.
Yeah, but what's her name plays Makoto? She retired. She didn't
Yeah,
go
and
into
to be
anything.
fair, the new actress they got in Standalone Complex is so good in the role. So yeah, she's a lot. Let's speaking of which, let's talk the main character. So it's Motoko Kusanagi versus Canada. I know who will win a fight, but let's talk about their character arcs.
Yeah, obviously.
But there's some weird things about these character arcs. But I think at the end of the day, Motoko's the story's more focused on Motoko in Ghost of the Shell, so she has a bit of an advantage as a main character in that sense.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to editing this video. What do you think? What Canada? He does get quite a bit of development. There's a lot of moments where we see a lot about his character, like when he rides the bike into the wall to say, "I'm sending it to you in the afterlife."
Yeah, that was a pretty heavy moment.
Yeah.
Which the Pioneer dub completely screws up.
Oh god.
Really, why does
Because it's just him yelling about how much he hates Tetsuo, rather than the fact of.
Why would they get rid of that scene?
It was more they were trying to time it properly. Again, you got to remember this is a time when they don't know how to dub anime that well.
Yeah.
This is really. I mean, they weren't even calling it anime back then. They called it Japanimation.
Oh yikes.
Yeah.
I'm glad we changed that one.
Yeah.
What would we call ourselves now? The Japanimation Joneses?
Japan Amigos.
The Japanimation's jalapenos? I don't know.
That's I think we've been even more.
The Japanimation JoJo's?
I like that actually, but I'm glad I'm glad that didn't stick.
Yeah.
When it comes to, I remember one of the big reasons when these. Do you know one of the weird people who really got these films recognised and pushed for these on the BBC was Jonathan Ross.
Yeah.
He did a big thing. He did a big documentary about these films and really pushed them. And the BBC was one of the first British broadcasters to broadcast Akira.
Wow.
Yeah, because Jonathan Ross is a massive anime fan.
Wait, BBC broadcast?
The BBC,
Yeah.
was part of their late night film broadcast.
Was it?
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say late night.
I was about to say, even back then they would say, they knew. But Canada's problem is, I feel like he has to give, because he's competing with Tetsuo most of the time, he has to give up a lot of his character. I don't think they do as good a job balancing their character development. I think Tetsuo gets a bit more than Canada, whereas the manga was very. I hate to go back to it, but the manga was very good at balancing their two characters. I think the film does a decent job. It's not like it's completely skewed with, but I was noticing that quite a bit. Whereas again, Motoko doesn't have much of a side cast to compete against, so she's just the main character and it's just her story.
Whereas it kind of doesn't have the main focus.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I think Kaneda has more of a personality, but Motoko is more centered. Than, she's a bit more likable than him. Probably.
It's a very self-reflection story, and Motoko. But I think that it does leave some weird lines of dialogue Makoto has. But again, that's not to do with her character. So
talking about Kaneda and his kind of like role within Akira, all of the change takes place in Tetsuo, and so Kaneda is more meant to be this cornerstone character, unflinching, unchanging, who is meant to, reverse or bring about change in Tetsuo as and when necessary. Whereas with Motoko, because she's like this blank slate almost, and her experiences change who she is, it makes more sense that she's a more like malleable character throughout the whole of the film.
Yeah,
because with Makoto, she becomes more human the longer the film goes on.
We don't have time to show Kaneda as this big rebellious leader that he eventually becomes in the manga.
It's almost a shame because like I love him in the film, but like too often he just feels, he's relevant for a few bits, but he's
also like until you get to the ending, close to the ending where he decides I'm gonna try and stop Tetsuo, you don't really get a sense of what his goals are in the film. Like his goals seem to like switch and change up constantly, and you just you don't really get a full grasp on what he's trying to do.
Whereas in the manga, which they kind of bring a bit of in the film version, his goal in the manga was to kill, and the finale of it was, I'm going to kill Tetsuo and Akira so that Kei is not burdened with that responsibility. That so she can have somewhat of a normal life, and again, the film's kind of going down that angle, but doesn't quite have time to show that. But that being said, I think like Kaneda needs to be that light touch in that film because he's meant to be. He's not really jaded by the world. It's more I'm a bit pissed off, but I'm gonna get on with my life the way I want.
Yeah.
So I feel like are we gonna vote on this? Because I get the casting vote this time.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much we can really say about these two.
Not really.
So what's your vote, Elliot?
I'm gonna go with Motoko from Ghost in the Shell.
You're going Ghost in the Shell?
I generally think I just think she's an overall better character. We get a better sense of her goals, and while she is more of a blank slate, I feel like that fits the character more.
Yeah.
Reese, how's your vote?
I'm going to go with Makoto because she feels more like a main character.
I'm going to go with Motoko Kusanagi as well.
Motoko's mine, and that's because she has more of a character arc and there's more to dive in about her character. I think Kaneda's a bit of a... I think Kaneda's a good character, but he's competing with a bunch of other characters for time and doesn't get as much of an arc as he should probably get.
It is fundamentally about Tetsuo.
Now we're talking about now we're going to come down to the big one, the writing the story. They're two apiece. The winner's going to be decided by this one.
It's 5 categories.
5 categories.
Okay, right, yeah.
So
wow. Neck and neck.
So neck and neck.
I feel like this happens a lot.
Yeah, this happens. This happened like every time we do it. It's like it always ends up closer than I thought it. Because I'll be honest, I thought Akira would dominate this.
I must be honest. I thought Ghost in the Shell was going to dominate this. But incidentally, we're going to talk about writing the story. But we need to decide against the casting vote. So rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I'm out. Wait, hang on.
Elliot wins.
Elliot.
Wow.
Wait.
Let's go again.
Work.
1, 2, 3.
Wait,
this
doesn't work.
Oh, you two.
Okay.
These two. 1, 2, 3.
No.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
This is like Dragon Ball
1,
Z.
2, 3. What? That's 5 in a row.
Come on, go again.
There you go.
Me and Elliot. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I get a casting vote.
That was just when me and Elliot going for 5 rounds, picking the same option.
It's because we're so
This is
insane.
like. Did you ever see?
We're so insane.
Do you ever see that Practical Jokers where they had to play rock paper? Said Sarah Joe playing rock paper scissors and always come up with scissors during a seminar on plastic.
Yeah, it's like in Big Bang Theory. Rock, paper, scissors, and Spock. They just pick Spock every time.
My friend.
Rock, scissors, paper, said shoot.
My friend has a rule where he literally will
rock,
never
paper,
pick
scissors,
anything,
gun.
and he will never pick anything but rock. But he always beats me because I always think, oh, he's not going to do it this time. I psych myself out because he always goes rock. It's so
hang on, that's the opening plot of No Game No Life.
Is it?
Yeah.
Literally.
Because it's how he beats Stephanie. He says, right, I'm going to choose rock. So you can choose paper. He chooses rock, she chooses scissors.
Literally, watch part 4 of JoJo's, and there is an excellent fight against the stand user who you literally based around rock paper scissors, and they managed to make it like actually work.
Okay, let's talk about the story and the writing.
Hunter x Hunter makes rock paper scissors work really well as well.
So
It was also used in Dragon Ball as well, Goku's techniques.
we're getting off
He used to
topic.
stab people in the eye with the
No,
frogs.
no, we are going off topic.
There's
again.
so many. Why are there so many rock paper scissors battles in anime?
We're going off topic again. Let's get back. Writing and story. So we already established that neither of these are very loyal adaptations of their source material, which is again very surprising considering Kazuhiro Otomo is the writer of the manga. But again, he's coming to his. It's not a detriment to the film because he's coming to his own right as a good animator and director.
Yeah.
Again, with productions like Steam Boy, and I mean he's got another film coming up, and Metropolis, and he's got another film coming up that I really like the look of.
So this is the author of.
Siri wants
Akira,
to talk
yeah.
to
Oh, wow.
you.
No.
Go away, Siri.
But
Go away, Siri. Cortana's better.
here's the thing: I don't think either of these.
I'm joking. I just want to.
I don't think, in terms of the story, I don't think either of these films are as perfect as the fan bases have made them out.
Well,
to
I
be.
will say Akira's more straightforward plot-wise compared to Ghost in the Shell.
But I think Ghost in the Shell. I'd say you're right, but I'd say Ghost in the Shell has a better focus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
I say Ghost in the Shell has a more cohesive story, like more structured story. Meanwhile, Akira seems to go all over the place a lot.
And Akira,
It does jump a lot.
and the biggest problem I have with Akira is it's terrible at its world building compared to how the manga did it. And I expect the streamlined dub improved a few things, but good God, they don't really do a very good job establishing how this world's working, why people. What the big history of this world has been like. I think it's barely mentioned that they've gone past there's been a third world war that's
Oh
destroyed.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the first scene.
Yeah, it literally
It flashes on screen.
Yeah, it literally just goes 31 years after the First World War. Wait,
Third
what?
World War.
Third World
Well-
War. But wait, does that mean that the Third World War only lasted like 1 year?
Well, no. So
Because the events where the old Tokyo exploded happened in 1988, and then the events of Akira happened in 2019.
I
So
think-
it pretty much happened like.
Yeah, I think in the storyline, it's that was the end of that war.
No. They mentioned that was what begun it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it-
and
they
that
thought-
Akira was pretty much what started the World War.
They,
Third World War.
they thought it was a nuclear attack, is what
Well, it
happened,
was really
but It was
Akira.
actually just Akira.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably the dubs might be to blame for this one, but I don't think the world building in Akira is that great.
See, I don't think it.
I don't think it's really too greatly built in the Japanese dub either.
Do you know what's weird? The another one to talk about in the English dub is the little blue kids,
I mean, the
Yeah.
Espers.
Yeah.
the Espers. They do actually give them decent voices in the streamlined dub.
Okay.
The Pioneer dub is really other. In fact, the one that sits in the chair, they give him a Marlon Brando style voice.
What?
Say, "Come on, you gotta come on."
The point is that they're children.
Yeah, and in the streamlined dub, they do get actors that can sound like children
Yeah.
in that one, and that's a point. That ruins the point of it,
Yeah.
you idiots. The whole point of it is it's an older generation that's failed the new one,
See,
and I think has been willing and has such disdain for him that they're willing to experiment on.
Yeah, because Espers were children, but they were given medication so that they wouldn't grow up.
yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with your point about the poor world building for Akira, but I don't think it needs it because you have.
Oh
the
no, I
gen-
think it really
No,
does.
but you have the general gist that it's like it's so obvious when you look at the ruling council. They're all old people. Some of them are falling asleep. They're all disparate and raging against each other.
I don't think
It's so clear that the rebellious youth and through
I
the rebellions
think
and the.
I think a lot of the time the world
protests.
is more built through the actions of the character and
Yeah.
the events that happen within the film rather than you sort of being told about the world.
But it's not. It doesn't have to tell you. But I think it does. I think the manga did a better job of just having these slight bits and bobs to sort of give you a bit more context for that world. It's like the things they cut were a few of the bits and bobs that gave you a bit more context for what was going on, why.
No, but then that's comparing it to the source material. And that doesn't mean that the film is bad. It just it shows us what we need to see and we so that
I think some of the things they cut were things that would have benefited the film.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of things they should have cut that they didn't, and a bunch of stuff they did cut
Yeah.
that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, I will admit.
For example, Kaori is actually not in that stage of the manga, and she doesn't become Tetsuo's girlfriend until after the big cataclysmic event in the middle of
Wait,
the...
really? She dates this massive blobby creature?
No, he doesn't become the massive blobby creature
Oh.
at that point. No, it's actually more another Akira style explosion. That's the big.
Oh, so that transformation doesn't happen in the manga.
It does, but much
Later on.
later on.
Alright.
It's more. That's the impact of Tetsuo building up even more and more time and his inferiority complex towards Akira,
That's interesting.
as opposed to this is the big. So like they took the end that he had. In fact, Kaori doesn't even die that way in the manga.
I feel so bad for her throughout.
Yeah,
that
I
film.
feel really bad for. I think Kaori's just a character you
You
just
thi-
think, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
If you think she's bad, if you think she's bad in there, you see how she was introduced in the manga and the treatment she gets there. She's introduced basically to be a sex slave to Tetsuo in the manga.
Oh,
And,
wow.
but Tetsuo takes pity on her, and she actually they both genuinely develop feelings for one another, which makes it even more sad that when she warns that that some goons are coming to kill Tetsuo, she gets shot in the back.
Oops. Oh yikes.
So yeah, she gets a much more dignified death.
Yeah.
In inverted commas in the manga.
Not as messy.
Not as messy as she got
Yeah.
in the anime. Jesus.
Yeah, fucking hell.
It's just one of those.
She did not deserve that.
No, it's
Not in the slightest.
It's just where you go. I'd say pants to be darkened, but it's already happened.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this interesting idea. I feel like there's interesting moments where you kind of go, okay, but how does this relate to anything in Akira? There's a couple of moments like, okay, there's that flashback, but I don't quite get it.
I disagree. I think
It's more these moments. You think there was a bunch of moments when I was watching the streamline dub where I thought this moment would only make as much sense to me because I've read the manga. I don't think this would have made as much sense to me if I hadn't. But that being said, obviously I was wrong because you guys obviously didn't have that issue and you haven't read the manga. I think
I'll be honest. I am actually wanting to get the Akira manga, but not because I think this is really good. Want to see what happens next, but more so I can get more context as to what's happening.
I'm with you.
Because even without reading the manga, you do kind of feel like with the movie there is a lot being cut out.
it is really freaky though they got right Tokyo was going to get the 2020 Olympics.
See, that's one of the things that confused me is that I wondered why Tetsuo. Do they explain why Tetsuo just has the powers that he has?
Yeah, they do actually.
Because that's one of the things that threw me. I thought throughout the film we were going to get maybe like even in the flashbacks we didn't really get an explanation as to why he.
But they-
is so
but
But
good.
it is explained.
Yeah, it's kind of that experimentation that's done on him, and it's the idea of
No, because they find that with his meeting with Takashi that he develops them after that. But is it due to his meeting with Takashi then, or is it
No,
just latent?
it's explained in the film that all humans have the life
some
energy.
of Akira, yeah.
Oh no! And they did that stupid thing about amoebas that pissed me off to no extent.
Oh, that's what. Right, yeah.
This is an assassin. I keep telling people, Assassin's Creed is not accurate. We don't
We don't get memories.
we don't genetically maintain memory.
Yeah.
This was just so like I was like, it's like really this is the explanation.
Can I just quickly? Should we go on about Ghost in the Shell for a bit? Because I think we've been neglecting that a fair bit.
we have.
Akira.
Ghost in the Shell, it's a very straight line story. It's basically who is the Major. Major's trying to find that out for herself.
Yeah, because you do so. Because I don't think you do so get a sense of it throughout the story, but I don't think she fully explains it till like the halfway point exactly what she's trying to do. Like she's saying, maybe I was a human in my past life, and I died, and I was put in this body. I mean, which is I think is a lot better than a live action version because they just go up and say, oh yeah, she was a human who died. We just put her in that.
Standalone Complex kind of did answer the question, but then also kept it a bit vague at the same time. They did say, yeah, she did. She was involved in a plane crash, but we don't know if she looked like that. We know her child that she died when she was a child because they gave her a childlike. But Standalone Complex season 2 was really not that great.
Yeah. Plus, again, we're reviewing the movie, not quite.
But I'm more saying that the film knew to keep that bit vague, whereas the Standalone Complex season 2 kind of ruins it by saying, no, she was like this.
Yeah.
Although we're going to keep that a little bit vague.
Yeah,
Saying, no. If you're going to give an explanation, give a full explanation. Don't bother to leave a bit back.
Yeah.
I guess it's a bit like in a weird way. It kind of reminds me of Blade Runner with Deckard being a replicant or maybe not, and it's never fully explained in the
Until
film.
the sequel.
I don't think it's even explained that. I think we get.
Yeah, it's explained in the sequel.
No, I think the sequel actually went.
I think the sequel sort of gives hints, but I don't think it fully says whether Deckard's a replicant or human.
Reese, what's your interpretation? Because my interpretation was that they didn't fully answer whether Deckard was a replicant or
No,
not.
it's answered, and the director's gone on record as saying as well, and the writers.
I know, but which is weird considering that the film, the book it's based on actually says Deckard's not a replicant.
Yeah, it compares that Deckard is a human, but in the film it just doesn't say that.
It more explains it in the director's cut of the original film, because he has that reoccurring dream.
Yeah,
of
the
horse.
director's cut.
Yeah, there's about 15 different director's cuts.
More like 15,000.
And hardly any of them are approved by Ridley Scott, who was the actual director.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where you just go, But the thing is, it's very similar to Blade Runner in that sense. But at the same time, I think it's what I find interesting is she's not very much like what's the name of the villain in Blade Runner again? It's the.
Oh, crap, I can't remember his name. I know the one you mean though.
Yeah, guy, white hair.
Yeah, replicant with white hair who dies while talking.
But what I find interesting about him is he's a lot more human than Deckard because he has a want to live, whereas Makoto is kind of like she has a want to live. She's a very similar character in that sense. She wants to live, but she wants to know why she should live. And that's an interesting idea. And then there's all this commentary about feminism and this idea of this woman has literally become an object, and is that why they gave her a very stereotypical, attractive female form? Yeah. Is it to do with the fact that that's her choice, or is that societal expectations? There's a lot to unpack with Ghost in the Shell in that sense, but at the same time, I think that's also what kind of turns it off to a few people.
Yeah.
Because it's not a very straightforward story, as we would say. Like, it's not really a free-act structure in Ghost in the Shell, compared to, say, Akira has a very clear free-act structure.
But at the same time, Ghost in the Shell, weirdly enough, it makes a bit more sense than Akira does in a weird way.
There's a slightly ambiguous ending. Again, rather like
they both have quite ambiguous.
Yeah,
endings,
but
really.
I feel like though with Ghost in the Shell, it feels a bit more like a definitive conclusion. Meanwhile, with Akira, I know the manga hadn't finished at that point, but like it feels like it's building up to a conclusion, but then ends with Akira.
See, I would
but
say
again, that's because they were combining the middle portion of the manga with the ending that Otomo had planned for the manga. Though I will say the whole them driving off into the distance is the ending of the manga.
Oh,
although it's also more about the fact that Youth recaptures the city and says, "This is our one now. You everyone else get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like it will make more sense like with the events that happen in the manga, because it's sort of they find out the guy finds out Kaneda is alive. And then suddenly they're just driving off, and it ends.
And the Colonel, they gave the Colonel the same ending as the manga, but they didn't give him his redemption arc that he had, and that would have greatly improved that film, because the Colonel's not that bad of a guy in the manga.
I don't think he's
He's
even
not
really,
that
and
bad
I
of a
don't really even think she's really too.
he's not
Like
that
he's
bad of a guy.
he's not a good person in the anime, but I wouldn't exactly say he's evil.
I wouldn't say he's morally ambiguous. I would say he's a good guy.
I'd say he's been a typical soldier following orders for the most part.
But the thing that bothers me the most about Akira is they did give us that manga ending, but they didn't give us a lot of the payoff to warrant that ending.
Yeah.
See, I would disagree with what you said before, Elliot, about the ending for Akira. I think they're both ambiguous, but they're in their own ways. Akira ends definitively, whereas Ghost in the Shell, there's clearly so much more that would happen after that, but we don't know what that is.
Well, when we go, and I mean, we did find out in Ghost of the Shell 2, but
I mean,
Innocence. That's
Innocence, right. Which is a much better film than many people are giving it credit for. Honestly, I'm actually someone who really likes Ghost in the Shell 2.
My dad actually has Innocence. I will have to check it out at some point.
I really like Innocence. I don't know about you. Have you seen it, Reese?
Yeah, but it was like years and years ago.
I know it's probably years and years ago, but I actually really liked Innocence. I thought Innocence was a very well made. It actually the idea of doing a sequel to Ghost in the Shell makes no sense, but they did somehow make it work. What is it about Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell that the idea of doing a sequel seems really stupid, and yet we actually got really good sequels for both of them?
Yeah.
Unusual.
Well, like Blade Runner 2049, I still stand by Blade Runner 2049 as one of my favourite sci-fi films in recent memory.
I wouldn't say, a lot of people say it's better than the first one. I wouldn't say it's better than the first one. I say it's on par with it. I say it's equally as good.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see. Honestly, if Taika Waititi hadn't been announced to direct Akira's live-action film, which has now gone into hiatus again.
Due to number 4.
Thank you very much.
Due to what?
The next Thor movie,
Yeah.
which I'm
For Thor.
Please make him drop the fat suit. It
No,
wasn't funny.
it's not going to be Chris Hemsworth. It's Natalie Portman this time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's doing the Mighty Thor.
It's so
Which
funny.
is-
It's so funny that she ducked out of the last 2 films, and then it's just like, oh shit, Endgame did really well.
Wait.
I'm gonna get back in the role.
Yeah, 'cause
MCU,
money!
I'm back. Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk. Actually, that being said, who cares? We're getting Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan on Disney Plus. I will get a Disney Plus account just for that.
Really?
Yeah, Kamala Khan's coming to Disney Plus.
Well, he showed the logo. I don't think she's been confirmed for the...
No, they have
No.
said it's
Have
definitely going to be Kamala Khan.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
She's the Miss Marvel because we've already gone Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, so there's no room for for Carol Danvers Miss Marvel.
Mm.
So they've just said it's going to be Kamala Khan.
Oh,
Awesome.
If I would say Denis Villeneuve, I think he would do a very good job of Akira if he was given it. I mean, he's now 2 for 2 on making 2 amazing sci-fi films. Like he's done Arrival, which is an amazing film,
Yeah.
and Blade Runner 2049, which exceeded every expectation I had for it. And again, incidentally, get Ryan Gosling in as the Colonel for Akira.
Oh, that would be sweet.
But-
Wait,
Okay.
Ryan Gosling? No.
Speaking of
Ryan Gosling, I think he would hit the right balance in that character.
Dave Bautista.
speaking of Akira, can we please get back to talking about
Yeah,
that?
sorry.
Yeah, it's actually the thing that makes it very difficult for me to pick which of these 2 stories are better. Which is Akira is overall the more iconic movie, but Ghost in the Shell I think has more iconic moments in that movie. Like with Akira, when I think of iconic moments, I mostly just think of the transformation sequence bit with Tetsuo. Meanwhile, with Akira, with Ghost in the Shell, I remember so many moments. Like I remember the fight on the water. I remember the fight against the tank, where Motoko went diving into the Puppet Master. I feel like it has more iconic and more memorable moments.
But I would say, while Akira has a better story structure,
A more traditional story.
A
structure,
more
I wouldn't say better.
a more traditional story structure, I feel like it's got a lot of gaps in that story. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a bunch of moments where
Yeah.
you go, and it's a bunch of moments where you just go, wait, why is that going
Yeah.
on like that? Read the manga.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Canada and seeing like all of a sudden he's helping this he's sort of joining the revolution on this mission. I just think I get that he's trying to get to Tetsuo, but it just sort of happens out of nowhere.
Yeah, and again, the manga does a better job of that, and it's a victim of the time it came out and the fact Sunrise wanted an Akira movie.
It's funny. I feel like I feel like with Akira you need to read the manga to get more context. Meanwhile, with Ghost in the Shell, you can just get the context by watching the film.
Yeah, no. In fact, the manga's actually it's one of the films that really improves on its manga. The Ghost in the Shell's manga has some very questionable ideas, and the story's kind of a bit all over the place. I mean, they made Motoko's actually the writer of the film said I made Motoko a lesbian because I didn't want to draw a sex scene with men.
Oh, right. Well then.
No, he's fully admitted that in the past. So I think Motoko's at least bisexual, if not a lesbian in the manga. Which, again, they hint at that in Standalone Complex, but with the women that she lives with. But they never. But again, I think the Standalone Complex made the right decision instead of not outright stating it.
Yeah.
But because again in the manga it was just used purely for sexual gratification. It wasn't used to further the story all that much. But let's.
I think we should vote. I don't think we can really say much more.
Elliot, how's your vote going?
It was really tough for. Come back to me.
Okay, Reese.
Well, Ghost in the Shell asked the more philosophical questions for its storyline, so I'm going to go Ghost in the Shell. It's more thought-provoking.
Yeah, my vote's for Ghost in the Shell because it's introspective and it's non-standard. I really like it.
I will admit before coming to this video, I was sort of thinking Akira, but after you came up with all the points saying and I realised there's a lot of context that we don't understand. I'm going for Ghost in the Shell.
My vote would be in Ghost in the Shell as well because as much as I like Akira, there's few gaps in there that I wish had been filled.
There's some bits that don't make
There's things that are cut. There's things that have been cut that don't need to be cut. I know it's probably even if I judge it on its own thing, I've then now got no context what the gaps are there. It's just like that's a thing that's just there now, and that's the point I'm making. It's like you've said try to separate from the source material, but it's almost impossible to do that. And even if you do, it actually comes out worse on the film.
Yeah, I think one of the things you kind of highlighted. I was trying to make a point of like they're their own entities, but as you explained, like there's a lot of context there that would probably have been helpful in trying to understand the film if it didn't have those gaps.
Okay, so
why not? We all actually agree on every single point.
Yeah.
So Ghost in the Shell 1,
Yeah.
3, 2, but
That's very surprising.
I must be honest. I was expecting it to be 4-1 Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, it's funny. I was actually expecting Akira
I
to
was
dominate.
expecting Akira to win.
Yes,
as
same.
well.
I was expecting Ghost in the Shell to nudge out.
It's
So
interesting.
it went pretty much exactly how you expected, I
Yeah.
guess.
So literally.
I will admit though, it's very close between the two.
Oh yeah.
Akira is still a phenomenal movie.
I'll tell you what, I must be honest, I always go a bit back and forth about Akira, but rewatching it for this manga and re-going over it for this manga, not for this manga, for this for this episode, I was actually amazed by how much it's held up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like a lot of anime movies, a lot of times they can sort of become a bit outdated. Akira really does hold up.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, we briefly mentioned it about Taika Waititi getting the director's job for it, and the fact do you think he's going to do a good job of it?
I bloody hope so.
Well, that is if he comes back for it.
Yeah, I think he will come back for it.
I just say fingers crossed.
I wonder
If he does come back to direct it, do you think he'll be a good job of it, considering if you take his films like Thor Ragnarok and The Hunt for the Wilder People?
For all of like, I think Thor Ragnarok's a very good template on which to base Akira because it has those lighter moments. It really does, and but it also has like Thor goes through a lot of character development in Thor Ragnarok, like a lot. That unfortunately most of which is reversed.
I don't think Tetsuo and Canada are going to do Get Help.
Yeah.
Oh god, no. But
That is my favourite part of that film.
Yeah.
We're not doing Get Help.
But
Get help!
I really enjoy. I enjoy the contrast between, the comedy that Taika Waititi brings, but also like just how dark and quite provocative it can be.
I think he could do something like that. I think he could do it very well.
It would need to darken significantly.
Yeah.
But not darken, but
Is there any other directors we can think of we would like to see do it if he doesn't come back?
Oh, here's one more about Michael Bay.
No.
Could you imagine
that will
that?
completely ruin it.
Keep him far away.
Uwe Boll.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just don't get the guy who did the Resident Evil films.
What, Paul W.S. Anderson? Fucking hell.
Yeah, I think that would be awful.
I think he's been blacklisted now because he's not got any projects on the upcoming.
Not surprising.
After Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, I don't think anyone's laying him near a camera again.
Yeah.
Anyone you can think of, Ren?
Who did it?
Oh yeah, I need to look that up.
I think I could potentially see. I don't know. I'm trying to think of similar films that would fit the.
I'm not too sure.
That's one of the reasons I think Denis Villeneuve would do an excellent job.
I
with
feel
it.
like
He did Arrival and Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we need. Yeah, I would actually agree. I think for Akira, we need someone who's good with sci-fi and good with dark films.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott.
No, actually, Ridley Scott's really lost his
Touch.
his touch in recent memory. I mean, if you look at films like
Did he do Prometheus?
he did do Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Prometheus got a lot better with the context from Covenant, and I enjoyed Covenant.
I'm someone who doesn't really like Covenant.
I thought most people didn't really like Covenant.
I'm not.
I liked it weirdly enough.
Do you know one of those films you'd rewrite the review if you got a chance to? I would rewrite my review of Alien Covenant.
Really?
I've recently rewatched it and I've gone, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh really? Yeah.
Just like there's no. You just go, what the hell was it?
What do you think? Say it was the worst Alien film though.
Prometheus was worse.
No, I'm going to say Alien Resurrection.
Ah, yeah, Resurrection was.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
I mean, Joss Whedon wrote it, but they got the guy who directed Amelie to direct it, and he did it.
Amelie?
Yeah.
The friend. Wait,
He directed Alien Resurrection.
Why would you do that? Why would you give?
I have
That's
not.
ridiculous.
I have
Because
not seen that.
Because they got Joss Whedon to write it, so they thought they had enough with him.
Oh,
Yeah, who would have done the geek god of sci-fi ended up writing one of the worst sci-fi films ever. That being said, Alien 3 is also pretty bad. I mean, I know David Fincher was trying his best with that one, but
I know a lot of people don't really like Alien.
it's interesting. You look at the first 3 Alien films, and everyone who directed those films went on to do something really good. Like you've got the first one's directed by Ridley Scott. Second one's directed by James Cameron. The third one's directed by David Fincher.
David Fincher might do a good.
Again, no, David Fincher probably could have. Again, if you look at something like,
I feel like James Cameron will be alright.
I think he's kind of lost his touch.
Less so now.
Yeah, I feel.
I want to see how Tim Miller does with this new Terminator film, because I think he could do a decent job of it. Because he did a very good job with Deadpool.
Yes, that's true.
Very true.
But yeah, anyway, so for these verses, like we've literally, it's been 3-2 for all of them, hasn't it?
Yeah. Like when we really discuss it, you think, oh, it's gonna go one way, but when you really discuss it, it's very close.
Yeah. The thing is, you guys raise points that I just would never think about on my own.
It was
remind me of
by the way,
things.
for your record, it was directed by Andrew Machete.
So he did Mother as well, or what was it?
Mama, which is a really crap film.
Really? No, I quite like Mama.
I mean, yeah, he's not.
No, maybe not them.
He's not coming. Incidentally, I've just noticed he's not coming back to direct it Chapter 2, which
Really?
Really?
He's doing it too.
I'm surprised he's not come back for the second chapter. Which
You'd expect to get the same director for a second chapter to something.
I quite enjoyed it. Actually.
Oh no, he is coming back to it. It's just not.
Yeah,
When's
a
it
lot.
coming
Yeah,
It's September the 5th or the 6th.
That's just after I get back from my holiday.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I'm making sure. I'm trying to save that for the weekend you're back, so we can go see that one because we both went.
Which would you say is better, actually, the original It or the newer one?
New one. New one. I know Tim Curry gives that film a lot more personality, but there's also a lot of really weird moments. Though that being said, the original one has a real good, so bad it's good quality.
Like it trying to make balloons scary. Yeah. Not to mention it led to a hilarious Nostalgia Critic video.
Yeah. Which we can't watch anymore because it feels awful. So we've kind of gone where we are. So I'm starting a new segment for this one. Elliot, could you get the manga that's in that bag?
Which one?
The black and white bag.
This one?
Yeah. Which I'm doing a segment I'm calling This Is How You Continue. You've got it there, man.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So this is basically where I'm going to give a guide on how to continue a story after the anime's finished in the manga. So
I can already tell by the art style who made this.
Yeah, it's former Alchemist guy.
Yeah, no, well here's the rule I'm having with it. I'm not allowed to do it unless it's little to unlikely that it's getting another season.
Bleach.
So up at the end.
Gundam Blooded Orphans.
I'm only doing it if that's likely. No ones if none of them if the anime drifted so far off the manga that you wouldn't be able to start it, that you would have to start directly from the first volume of the manga and to have any context of what's happening. So no Twin Star Exodus, unfortunately. Which incidentally they changed it completely by volume 6. Just do the manga as normal.
I need to pick up the manga for Twin Star Exodus. I really enjoyed the anime.
It's actually kind of interesting. Both stories are quite good in their own right, but I think the anime did it slightly better.
That's interesting.
But let's move on. The first one I'm doing is Silver Spoon, one of my all-time favourite slice of life anime. I really, really, really love Silver Spoon. It's written and drawn by Hiromu Arakawa, who, as you mentioned, did Full Metal Alchemist.
Also, which you can see right here.
So that was rather apt.
Yeah. Also, one of my which has become one of my favourite manga of all time, is bloody amazing.
But this one, if you like her writing style, seriously give this one a read because it's so. I would really recommend if you haven't seen the anime, just start on the manga since you'll get the full story.
I'm a big fan of. As I said, I'm a big fan of her work. So yeah, I would like you to pick it up.
But if you've watched, this is meant to be if you watch the anime. So anime ended in 2014 with the second season. Didn't resolve all the plot elements, had a few open, so there was plenty to go for. Here's how you do it. Volume 8, that's your starting point if you want to go straight from the anime. You're going to have to watch back at the last few episodes, but it picks up, this is the point it picks up, and then Volume 9, which it continues on from there. Volume 10's apparently been delayed a little bit, but these are the two that are out in the UK at the time of recording. So Volume 8, if you don't want to go for the entire manga, because they don't change anything from the anime to the manga. It's pretty much exactly the same.
You know what? If, with the how you would do it, I would very much like to do it. I would at some point. I would like very much like to do a segment on Tokyo Ghoul.
See, Tokyo Ghoul goes against my rule because they went for two reasons. One, it went so far off the manga that you wouldn't be able to just continue the story. And two, they then tried to go back to the manga. So Tokyo Ghoul's enough of a jumbled mess. So
yeah, which is a shame because the manga is so good.
Could I do Hunter x Hunter?
Well, yeah, but I want to. But you have to explain where you start if you finish the anime, and also Also, I'll make you a deal. This time next year, next August, if we get no announcements for a continuation of the anime, you can.
Okay. Because I'd actually have to read up.
Or as we call it, hiatus ex hiatus.
Yeah. I'd have to read up.
But here's the fact of the matter is, I reckon we're going to get an announcement of a continuation of the anime sometime soon.
Well, see, no, because it was rebooted. It started again. Like there were the OVAs and whatever in like the 90s or early 2000s, and then it was rebooted in 2012. And then I'm not sure if the manga just didn't get far enough ahead of it because it's been stalling for a long time. I understand that the author's got stuff going on, but they stopped. I think it was around like 2016 or 15 or something like that. It was about 3 years worth of show.
Well, the next one I'm aiming to do, which I'm working on the manga at the moment, but I think it'll be a while till I actually give it. So this is not going to be a regular segment.
Yeah, it's going to be like
every so often I'll do it. But the next one, one of the ones I'm probably aiming to do in the future is Snow White with the Red Hair, which I think is a really underrated show. Like, that was a seriously good romance anime. Which it's also an excellent character study for its main character. So I would say, yeah, you're gonna, and also it's really a lot of shows like this don't do. It's really fun. Which again, Silver Spoon, I really recommend the anime for this one because the anime is really good. It's very well cast. It's got one of my all-time, if not my all-time favorite ED in the first one. I'm not so much keen on the OPs, especially the first OP. The first OP, they picked a terrible song, and the animation doesn't match the song. The animation doesn't match the song, and it's a completely wrong song for this type of anime.
So it's the Untitled Chapter OP 2.
Yes, no, it's very much.
Full Metal Alchemist OP 1. That's the original Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood.
Yeah, no.
Brotherhood's OP is fucking amazing.
No, Brotherhood is the one.
Wait, what's wrong with OP for
The first OP for Full Metal.
What's wrong with that?
It doesn't fit the show, and it just sounds awful. It sounds like Japanese Mexican music.
Do you know what I think?
That can work.
I was half expecting to hear.
I'll tell you what though, Ready Steady Go is really good.
Oh, Ready Steady Go is.
Ready
Steady Go.
Look, if you can get soul music into a shonen anime and Bleach, like soul choir music, then I defy you.
Now, calm down. This is a fight for a parking lot, not a podcast.
Parking lot with flip knives.
The
butt plugs.
Yeah. Hey, come on.
Razor sharp butt plugs.
Yeah, just in one hand, switchblade covered in blood, and the other one.
Do you know? I think they cancelled Chester Pride not because of the weather, but because they didn't want us there.
Yeah, it's just like, oh shit, they're here. Abort.
No. Incidentally, we're going to be showing our support for the LGBT community at. Well, at least some of us are. I don't know if we're all going to be able to make it.
I'll try to make it.
We're all going to try. We're all going to try. Me and Ren at least will be there.
Oh, we'll be.
When's that again?
September the 6th. We'll be
No,
at Chester.
22nd.
No, 22nd. That's it. September the 22nd.
Sunday.
September the 22nd. Me and Ren will be there. At least I'll be selling my book, The Nerd Consoles Guide to Anime, available now on Amazon.com in Kindle form.
It's a lot lighter than buying the actual book.
Yeah, if you want any hint as to how good it is, Anime America opened it. Anime America opened their copy.
And I now have to ask, please let me advertise it as Seed on Anime America. Robin, I know you're watching.
You need to send a copy to Crunchyroll. If you want to become a Crunchyroll judge, send it to
They're not going to make me a Crunchyroll rewards
they
judge.
They might do.
They might.
You never know.
Ask.
They might. If you make a sequel, they might.
I'm working on a sequel. I'm starting it next month.
Nice. What anime is the first one going in?
Gundam Mind Blooded Orphans.
No, it was already in the first one.
Well, you can do a part 2.
No, I'm not doing
More
that.
Gundam.
Yeah.
No.
Copy paste.
Actually, at this
Build
point, since the three of you all did contribute, you all get to pick an anime that wasn't in the first one to go in this new one.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Bible Black.
You get a serious one.
Did you put Monster in there?
I didn't put Monster in the
That's
first
just
one.
Monster.
Right, Monster's going in.
Let me-
But before I'll have to think. But that's off the top.
At the minute, off the top of your head, you. Reese, is there a Gundam that I missed that I should have put in?
Yeah. All 40 years worth.
My vote is for Promised Neverland. I feel like that should be.
That's already gone.
Oh,
got on there.
no, Nichijou.
Yeah, no, I'll get Nichijou in.
Good, thank God.
Alright.
Nichijou's so
Okay,
good.
that-
Asabi Asabase. Now you get to put in Demon Slayer.
Mob Psycho.
No,
Yeah.
basically.
That time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah, no, those have all been confirmed
Yeah.
for it. Basically, my cut-off point for the last book was winter 2018.
Did you put in Golden Kamuy? No, you didn't, did you?
No, I have. Yeah, Golden Kamuy's going to get mentioned.
Nice.
No, basically, it's going to be a bunch of things that I've discovered since doing the book, like Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions and
Shield Hero.
Love is War?
Shield Hero. No, I get to the point on that one, but it's a bunch of things I've discovered like that and some. What else have I discovered since then? Like Hyoka. And then a bunch of stuff that came out after the cut-off point. So everything from spring 2018
I'm gonna
onwards.
guess that Carol on Tuesday's going in.
Yeah, Carol on
Once
Tuesday.
we watch it.
Yeah.
Carol on
that's what-
Tuesday. Carol on Tuesday. Whatever it turns out to be is going in because I did every other Watanabe anime.
It's been very highly rated, so it will. So I expect it to be really good.
No, you won't hear from any of us Friday. As soon as I'm done reviewing my film, I'm back home and just watching that.
Oh, is it out on Friday?
It comes. The first half on Netflix comes out on Friday.
And then we only get in the second half in November.
October or November, they reckon we're gonna get it. But
Netflix, release our anime.
Stop boycotting us.
But to be fair, it is quick release considering that the series isn't done yet. It's going until the last week of September. But I'm glad we're getting it now because it also says we'll probably get it done by the end of the year.
Yeah, meaning that it's a potential wild card, or at least it will be an honorable mention.
Yeah, nothing else. I'm very annoyed because there's been a bunch of really good anime this year. Not all are going to get nominated. Speaking of which, next time we're back, we're doing Best of Summer.
It's gone by very quickly, actually.
Which
very quickly.
which is for once we will get summer right and pick the right anime to.
Jesus.
Like,
Yeah.
every year we get criticised for what we pick for best. I mean,
We criticise ourselves more than anything.
did we criticise ourselves for the fact we picked Overlord 3 last year? Or...
I think because a lot of people were expecting us hoping for us to pick Attack on Titan.
I stand by. Part of season 3, part 1
Yeah.
wasn't as good as season 3, part 2.
Season
and
3 Part 2 was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Part 2 was great.
We're gonna get so much.
Like seriously, it's actually been it's actually number 1 on my anime list at the minute.
We're gonna get so much flack if we don't nominate that as a wild card, and I'm going to bathe in the Attack on Titan fanboys' tears.
I have a feeling that if anyone will pick it for wildcard, it's going to be Ren.
Maybe.
No, I think he'll pick Vinland Saga, judging by the way he's talking about that at the minute. Considering how you love Vinland
It's
Saga at the
fucking
minute.
great. And if it doesn't win anyway.
I have a slight feeling that it's either going to be that or Dr. Stone winning.
This season's strong.
Yeah, I think this is the best summer season we've had since starting.
Since we
anime
started
Amigos.
it, yeah. Although I'm going to explain where it fell.
Though at the same time, it's not exactly a challenge.
I'll explain next month how it fell down a bit, though, in some areas. But I'm really looking forward to doing another seasonal roundup with you guys.
Yeah, they're always our best and longest videos, meaning that it's going to be a bitch for Calvin to win it.
Oh, speaking of which, do not make this one 2 hours long next time. You have no idea what it was like. So, like, I had to delete so much off my computer and put it onto a cloud thing because there wasn't enough space for...
So much. How could you guys? You made me lose my foot porn.
Do you know what's amazing?
So many hentai foot jobs gone.
It's 40 terabytes of
I'll tell you,
football.
there was more space on there than some Switch games I own.
Lol.
Oh wow.
Bloody hell.
Oh, by the way, can I make a request? You guys get Splatoon 2. It's bloody amazing. I want people to play it with.
Oh, it's dead now, isn't it?
What?
It's as last Splatfest.
No, people are still playing it. It's still going.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
they just
but-
don't do any more Splatfest.
Yeah,
That's
they're
all.
just not doing any more Splatfest.
All I'm
It's
doing-
been 2 years anyway, so.
All I'm doing at the moment is playing Civilization 4, and then I'm getting Civ
Get
5,
the characters
so-
It's okay. I'm just mostly playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's
Yeah, I'm
fine.
playing Yu-Gi-Oh on my Switch.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm trying to build a Red Ice deck on it at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't even unlocked all of the characters. from
For
Smash
God's
yet.
sake. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next month.
Help me.